Ready to go whenever you are, bud.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 49ers Weekly Recap Show. We are live, coming to you at you again. We were gone for a minute. One of us were on vacation. I wonder who it was. But welcome back. We're going to talk 49er. We're going to recap the Miami Dolphins. We're going to talk about some topics that we have to talk about. My brother, Kalen from Shifty 49ers Talk will be with me. We'll get all that right after this. It is your boy Niner Sickness. I got my boy Shifty there. And this is the new 49ers Weekly Recap Show. Welcome, everyone, to the 49ers Weekly Recap Show. Kalen, how you doing, brother? How you doing? How you been? How's this weekend treated you?
Oh, man, it's a good start to the week. Stoked on life. Good win by the Niners. There's a lot to talk about. And, yeah, it's a good week so far, dude. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing great. Maverick says, Beto, I am at work. What are you doing, son? We doing the 2 o'clock show because my brother Kalen has some commitments after the show. So sometimes we got to go early. Sometimes we go late. But thank you for popping in, Maverick. Even if you can't watch us, but you can hear us, we appreciate you, brother. Everyone coming into the show, whether you're watching live or replay, make sure to please wipe your feet before entering and smash that like button for your boy Niner Sickness. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 week on my channel, 1 week on Kalen's channel, which is Shifty's 49ers Talk. His address is in the description below. All you got to do is go to the description, click on his name. It will take you directly to his channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button for his channel and hit that notification bell because next week we'll be going on his channel. So we'll be alternating channels. But those that are walking in right now, welcome. We got Don in the house. Good afternoon. Welcome. So this is a 2 o'clock episode. One thing we'll tell you for sure on the 49ers Weekly Recap Show is very important that you have your notifications set because of our schedules. A lot of times we can unfortunately go on at a certain time each Tuesday. Tuesdays is usually the day we go on, but
The first play of the game, Dolphins 75-yard touchdown. They, of course, then had the big deep pass to Tyreek Hill. But outside of that, defense was phenomenal. Great performances all around. I think the big thing is like our star players really stepped up on defense. Bosa, 3 sacks, forced fumble, amazing. Fred Warner, interception. He was flying around. Greenlaw, the same thing. Jimmy Ward, interception. But yeah, it's one of those games that look. Of course, it's going to affect us going forward simply because of the injury. But I don't know if you actually saw it, Beto. But maybe about 30 minutes ago, Adam Schefter tweeted out that Garoppolo could actually. He's not going to be getting surgery. It wasn't as bad as they thought. He could be back for the playoffs.
really,
Could be back for the playoffs. They said he's going to – it's probably like a 6, 7, 8 week type deal. So it's possible that he could be back for the playoffs.
that I did not hear. I've been kind of busy. Me and the wife, we're doing some painting inside the house, and she's definitely keeping me busy. I'm surprised she let me come and play right now for about an hour. But she's been keeping me busy, so I've been off the phone, which sometimes is nice just to get off the phone and and not always be dived into social media. But that's good news. If Brock Purdy can get us some wins between now and then, and we'll see. We'll see. Depending on how Brock does, because I'm not gonna lie. When Jimmy went down, I was like, oh crap, oh crap. Against the Miami Dolphins, they're gonna kill us. This game's gonna be ugly, and it was, but not the way I thought it was. And Brock came in and surprisingly played not good, very well. He was poised. He wasn't rattled. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't like, it wasn't too big for him. Now, playing in the Pac-12 for 4 years helps out a lot. You know what I mean? On Iowa State. But that one play that he threw when the pass rusher was in his face, straight to Kittle for that first down, was telling, at least for me, that this kid, facing the eye of the barrel, did not flinch and got the ball out. A lot of quarterbacks, they're scared to get hit and they'll flinch. This kid has the it factor. So am I saying he's the second coming of Joe Montana? No. But listen, if he plays well and he develops character and develops experience, at the very least, we know that we have a great backup behind Trey Lance, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. Yeah, he made some really impressive plays. The one that you said, to Kittle and that was third down. At the time, it was 10-10. There was about a minute 20 left in the half. That big play, then eventually we drive down. We scored the touchdown right before halftime. So really impressive stuff right there from Purdy. A number of other really good plays too. And Miami, that's one thing I noticed. Miami was just blitzing like crazy. They were going nuts. But when you look at it from Brock Purdy, he started 4 seasons with the Iowa State Cyclones, so he's played a lot of football. So that's one thing that's really benefited him. And also, I think Fred Warner made a really good comment too after the game, in that it's like, look, he's been, training camp, all mini camp, preseason trainings, and just practice throughout the whole season, that he's been up against a really good defense, probably the best defense in the NFL. So if he can perform there, then it's kind of just easier compared to going against other teams. So look, we can't get too ahead of ourselves. That's the one thing where he played really well, all things considered. But, let's think back to when, Nick Mullins, his first start against the Raiders. Now the Raiders that season were just absolute garbage. So that's one thing. But Nick Mullins looked really good. And then we saw what eventually happened with him. So I don't think that you're crowning him. I'm not crowning him, but it was very positive to see. And here's the thing too, which is awesome, is that, look, we have the number 1 defense in the NFL, and it's kind of not that close. Our special teams has definitely picked up a lot better recently. And then the running game, McCaffrey, we're going to talk about Mason as well. He played really well. The thing that everything's there for it to make it easy for Purdy. And we haven't even talked about that he has Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, Juszczyk, Johan, like all these weapons to throw to. So I think he's in as good a situation as you could expect.
Exactly. So let's get into our first topic. We talked about it a little bit already, but we're going to get on the first of our 6 topics today. We're going to make this live not too long. I just want to welcome real quick Brian Cole coming in, Robert Davis, and Luis Moreno. Cowboy Angel came in. Welcome to the channel. So Jimmy Garoppolo, season-ending injury. Well, you just corrected this a little bit because of what you heard from Adam, that he's going to avoid the surgery. He's going to now be 6 to 8 weeks.
About that, I think they said about maybe 6 to 8 weeks.
So there's a possibility that he comes back to the playoffs. Now let me ask you, with that type of injury, when you saw that injury, Garoppolo, once again, one of the reasons why the 49ers went and got Trey Lance, it wasn't because a lot of people say that Jimmy doesn't have the arm, Jimmy can't throw deep. That's all. To me, that's really a myth. And even though he doesn't throw, I think it's more coaching than it is Jimmy, but we're not going to get into that. The point is they got Trey Lance because Jimmy can't stay healthy. He's always getting hurt. Sunday, he got hurt again. Unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation for him, especially since he was kind of building up his resume for next offseason so he can get his big contract. So I do feel bad for the guy, but he does get hurt. And this is the reason why we got to trade. Do you think that Jimmy, now being hurt, his stock just went down for next season, Kalen?
I think it did, just because they're definitely. I mean, he's been injured a number of times. We remember 2018 ACL tear. 2020 he was hurt. He missed a bunch of games. Last year he missed 2 games, 2.5 really. And now this year he's going to miss, at least 5, 6, 7 games possibly. So it definitely hurts from that respect. He was playing pretty good football, I thought, this year. Statistically, at least, it's probably the best that he's played with the 49ers in his NFL career. So I think there will be interest in Jimmy from other teams in the offseason. But it's obviously a bummer for him because, I mean, like any competitor, he wants to play, but also he'd have more of a chance to essentially try and squash the rumors or squash the thoughts that he is injury prone, and now it's going to come back and maybe bite him. So at the end of the day, I think that Jimmy, I think he's been a good 49er. Some of those injuries, bad luck, but at the end of the day, I think the Niners made the right decision in going for Trey Lance. I think it's going to be good also to have Brock Purdy play some meaningful games here. So, as we move forward past in looking into next year and the year after, Trey Lance will be the starter, and then we'll have a very capable backup in Brock Purdy. So, you feel bad for Jimmy because, look, if there's one thing you can say about Jimmy Garoppolo is that he's a professional. He's like a stand-up guy. Like, he's never dogged the team. He's never dogged any players. He's always taken responsibility for when things didn't go right. He's a really good guy. And ultimately, I wish him the best wherever he goes. It's a bummer that he's injured because although I think Purdy looked pretty good, Jimmy definitely has, you would have to say, he has a much more firm grasp of the entire offense, allows us to do a lot more. So hurts the team, it hurts him. And his foot's clearly hurting big time, I would imagine. But hopefully he can come back next year and play, whether that's with the 49ers. I don't think he'll be back here, but you never know. I mean, I didn't think he'd be here this season.
Yeah. If there was any discussion of the possibility that he would be back to the 49ers next year based on how he was playing, that was definitely a discussion that the Niners would have. Feeling that he got hurt again, and the whole reason why they drafted Trey Lance, maybe this was a wake-up call for John Lynch, like, okay, all right, Jimmy was playing great football. He was not turning the ball over, but here we go again. This is why we got Trey Lance, because I hate that word injury prone, but he gets injured more than once. So that kind of falls. So that might be kind of okay, let's get back to reality. This is why we got Trey. Let's move on. So let me ask you, before I get off the Jimmy topic, I'm just going to throw it out there, man. Just for the sake of a little conversation on this channel. If Brock Purdy plays really good football, wins the division, and gets us to the playoffs and does good, can there be a little bit of controversy next year?
Next year? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, well, I'll put it this way. If Brock Purdy, I think, were to take us basically to the Super Bowl, win it, then I think, it's hard to just step away from that. But it has been done. And, you look at, for example, I think it was with the Eagles? They won it with Nick Foles, and then they kind of got rid of Foles, and they went back with Wentz. So, it would be tough. I mean, it's a very good question. I don't think it will come to that, but look, I'll put it this way. If Brock Purdy takes us and we win the Super Bowl and we have to have this question, well, at the end of the day, I think we'd all take it because that means we won a freaking Super Bowl. So I know I would. I would take that any day of the week. I think anyone would. But I still think that it's Trey Lance's team. I think the upside with Trey Lance is just so like huge that it would be hard to go away from that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. It would be great. You can only imagine the discussions in the off season. But I think we'd probably all be also too busy celebrating if we won a Super Bowl. Now, I guess the other part of the question that you're saying is, let's just say if we go pretty far in the playoffs and if he's playing well, I I think that the reins would be handed to Trey Lance for sure. I don't think there'll be a huge controversy unless Purdy wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's. Let's be honest. I hear you, and I agree. But having a rookie, and I don't. I know I put Mr. Irrelevant because that's what he was. But all jokes aside about being irrelevant, he got drafted in the 7th round, and we have seen players that have been undrafted come in, win a roster spot, and go on and become Hall of Famers. Now, I'm not saying that about Brock, but my point being is you never know who you have until you play him. And listen, Tom Brady, the guy that we're playing against this Sunday, was a 6th round quarterback. Now, between Brock and Mr. 6th round Tom Brady, we know who Tom Brady is today, right? Obviously, the GOAT that people like to call him. But let's backtrack all the way when he got drafted. Did they know they were drafting a GOAT, 7-time Super Bowl champion, at the time that they made the selection in the 6th round? Absolutely not. They were drafting him to be a backup, right? Brock Purdy was drafted to be a backup. You never know. You just never know. Now, it's hard to win a Super Bowl with a rookie. It hasn't been done yet in NFL history. The closest rookie to get to an NFC championship was Big Ben. He went out on it. Other than that, NFC championship or playoff, I don't remember one of those two. I want to make sure that I'm not mistaken in saying the wrong thing. But it's hard to win with rookies. We're going to see what Kyle Shanahan. This is where I'll tell you this, Kalen. We're going to really get to know all this talk about Kyle Shanahan being a genius or guru or not, because I hate the narrative that Kyle Shanahan wins games with Jimmy and he loses games without Jimmy. Well, this is going to be a test for Kyle. How are you going to use a Brock? Are you going to put him in good situations? That defense needs to continue to play the way it's playing with the run game. But I'll tell you one thing. With the defense that we have and the run game that we have, I'm comfortable. And the playmakers, if any quarterback has to come into any situation, him coming into the 49ers situation is perfect for him. And the way he was poised on Sunday, he's only going to get better. So I'm excited to see it. I think we're going to find out more in this game against Tampa than we did against Miami, because Tampa is going to have film on him, at least the game against Miami. They're going to prepare. See, Miami did not prepare for Brock. They prepared for Jimmy. They got Brock. Tampa is going to prepare for Brock Purdy. We're going to see what Kyle can do. It's going to be fun to see. But I put on the topic, Mr. Valentine looked pretty good against the Dolphins. I know everybody's eating that up. Let's move on to our next topic. Can the Niners still win the division with Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback?
Oh yeah, I think 100% they can. We're obviously, as you just mentioned, we're playing the Buccaneers this Sunday. I think the Niners have a little bit of an advantage here because, of course, we know what to expect from this Buccaneers offense. There's 2.5 years of film with Brady playing with the Buccaneers. The offense with Tampa hasn't looked great in recent weeks. Really, all season it's been struggling. One thing which I think our defense tends to struggle with when we do struggle are just absolute speed guys. Like we saw it, against Miami. A lot of times, those are the guys that really scare me. Now, Tampa doesn't really have that. Scotty Miller's like the one receiver who is pretty fast, but outside of that, they're very talented guys. When you look at Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, but I think the defense should play pretty well. I think we should be able to hold them in check. Now, so we saw what Purdy did against Miami, and he looked pretty darn good. Tampa Bay's defense is better than Miami's. They have players all over it. So I don't think we can expect necessarily the same level of performance, but here's what I do expect from Purdy and any quarterback is just don't make the big mistake that Jimmy had been making in his career. Jimmy was prone to making just that maybe one or two interceptions, or that you just be like, what the hell was that? If he can avoid that, then I think we're okay. Then I think we're going to make some moves. I think we should be able to beat Tampa Bay. They're on a short week. They're traveling all the way across the country here. And then we go to Seattle. Now, the game against Seattle, now to answer this question is, can the Niners still win the division? If we beat Seattle Thursday night, then, man, I would be stunned if we didn't win the division, because right now we're 4-0 in the division. If we were to beat Seattle, we go 5-0. So we would definitely have the best record in the division record against them. We'd have all the tiebreakers against Seattle. So then we would essentially be 2-3 games up with 3 games left. So, yeah, I mean, I still think we can definitely win. Not necessarily because of Brock Purdy, but I think because of the defense, the run game, and then just the playmakers we have. And let's be real here too. I think Jimmy was playing quite well this year, but I don't think the offense is going to change that much. We probably have to kind of condense it and simplify it just because Purdy's a rookie still. But I think it's going to operate very similarly. I mean, how many times a game do we see Jimmy checking it down, short, quick passes? So it's not like if we were going from Trey Lance to Brock Purdy, where the offense was used to airing it out and all this stuff, then I think it would be a bigger adjustment. But for now, I don't think we're going to see a huge change in the offense.
Barely came back. They did come back. They barely came back against the Saints. Now, I understand that when you play within your division, it's always hard. Forget about the record. Don't look at the record when it comes to division foes. They know each other so well that you got to throw the record out the window when you face a division foe. The Saints were winning. It looked like the Saints were going to kick their butt 16-3, and the next thing you know, Tom Brady, it becomes Tom Brady, right? But I think if we put that pressure that we did on Tua against a 45-year-old, we'll be okay. This whole Tua was out of people. Miami Dolphin fans were like, Tua did not have his great game. Tua was misfiring, and it wasn't Niners defense the reason why we lost. It was Tua wasn't playing good football. I'm like, was it because Tua was feeling the presence of Eric Armstead, of Bosa, of that pressure? So it is what it is. We're going to find out what we have in Brock. I think we can win the division too. I know the division just got that game against the Bucs would be a good game for Brock, but that game against Seattle, in that hostile environment, away game, it's going to be a true test for Mr. Brock Purdy. Let's see how he does. Let me welcome some people that are just popping in. We got Stebo in the house. Welcome, Stebo. We got Matthew Navarro in the house. Welcome, Matthew. Robert Davis came in the house. What's up? Corey Davis is in the house. What's up, brother? Welcome. We got Bashar from 49er Minded in the house. How you doing, sir? Welcome. We got Randy Daytona in the house. What's up? And Dina Harvey is in the house. Welcome to the channel. So moving on to our next topic. Jordan Mason ran 8 times for 51 yards. Those were hard runs. Does he remind you of someone maybe named Marshawn Lynch? I'm curious to ask you that, Kaylin. Go ahead.
A little bit, because I think they both wore 24. Mm-hmm. They both have dreads. And look, I think that Jordan Mason ran really well. Really was just a different factor in the run game compared to McCaffrey. I mean, Mason just runs like full head of steam. He's going to go no matter what. And you have to respect that, and defenses have to respect that. Can we put him on Marshawn Lynch's level yet? Not quite, but I think you made a good point that it kind of reminds you a little bit of it. Of course, he's still got a long ways to go to get near that level.
Oh
But
yeah, of
it's
course.
really, yeah. But as I think you point out really a good point that it kind of does remind you of Marshawn. So, and I think it's a really good combo right there between McCaffrey and Mason. Now, to me, look, we haven't really seen enough of TDP to really know what's going to happen with him. Personally, I would probably they both have yeah, I know, but they both have dreads, both number 24. So, but it's one of those things too where I would probably, if it were me, I would probably have Tevin Coleman dress up for games as opposed to TDP because Coleman has that speed, that sneaky kind of speed. So, and just so you have like a nice, complement of running backs back there. TDP and is kind of similar to McCaffrey, but not as good, obviously. But I think Mason was really impressive. And I think what we're going to see going forward is what we saw against the Dolphins is that we're probably going to start it off with McCaffrey. He's the veteran. He's the guy who's been there, done that. We know he can make the plays. He knows the offense. Mason is the guy that once we get into, 3rd and 1, once we get into maybe it's like a 15 play drive, and towards the end of that, you bring in Mason just to, lay down some hits. But more importantly, the fourth quarter, that's when you're going to see Jordan Mason out there. Defense getting tired. Defense have been taking hits all day long. And then, bam, you bring in this physical runner. I think he has good vision. So I'd love to see it. Now, the one thing which, of course, you'd like to see with his game, if you want to get him out there a little bit more, is that, and we don't really know, but can he catch the ball effectively in space? Can he, pass block as well? If he wants to get more snaps, more reps, then that's what he's going to have to do as his career moves forward. But really impressive game against Miami. Hopefully he keeps it up. He'll definitely be out there against Tampa Bay this Sunday.
Yeah, I like his style of running. He runs right between the tackles. He runs with this type of attitude, like, you're not going to take me down. As Kyle becomes more comfortable with him, we're going to see more of Jordan Mason run through the middle. I don't know what's going on with TDP. I don't know what it is with 3rd round pick running backs. I think we should never pick a 3rd round running back ever again. They just don't plan out. You get the undrafted ones, you get the late rounds, running backs like Elijah Mitchell that plan out, but those 3rd round picks, man, I don't know. I mean, it's still too early to say about TDP. I'm not saying anything this or there, but it just seems to me that 3rd round running backs don't plan out. We'll have to wait for him. But I am excited about Jordan Mason. I do like this kid. He's a big body. And what I meant about Marshawn Lynch was in the style of running, not necessarily of being Marshawn Lynch, what Marshawn Lynch is today, but the style of running. Marshawn Lynch ran with an attitude. He ran with determination. He ran with, nobody's bringing me down. I'm going to gain every yard. If you're going to get me down, you're going to have to work to get me down. And I like that attitude from our young kid, Jordan Mason. We'll see how he does against the Bucs. The Bucs are a good run team, so we're definitely going to get a good test there against the Bucs. But I look forward on Jordan Mason moving forward and seeing what Kyle does between him and CMC. Use CMC more on the outside, use Jordan Mason more on the inside, and we'll see how the game goes against the Tampa Bay. All right, moving on, brother. Welcome back, Eric Armstead. His presence was felt immediately in the game against the Dolphins. That first interception, Helen, that Jimmy Ward had was because Eric Armstead was all over Tua, and Tua threw that ball. If you look at that replay, if you look at that play, you're going to see that Eric Armstead was the reason why that ball was thrown the way it was. Now, I give credit to Jimmy for being where he was to receive that ball and intercept it, but Eric Armstead was a beast, and he was on a pinch count. Imagine what he's going to do playing more snaps against the Bucs What were your thoughts, initial thoughts on Eric Armstead's return back to the field?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, his presence was felt straight away. I think Eric Armstead is a really, really good player. Is he as good as Buckner? Maybe not. But I think Eric Armstead is not far behind. His presence was definitely missed the last number of weeks. I thought straight away he was getting in there. He was really effective, disrupting, making Tua have to move out of the pocket, making him uncomfortable in the pocket. Bosa was the only guy who actually had sacks against Tua, but there was one or two of Bosa's sacks where you can see clearly it was Eric Armstead who kind of set it up with what he was doing. It was kind of reminding me a little bit of back in the day when we had Justin Smith and Aldon Smith, and Justin Smith would just basically almost clear a path for Aldon Smith just to get those sacks. So in a way, it was like reminiscent of that. But yeah, he's huge for the team. And, we got the bad news, of course, Hassan Ridgeway, he's going to be out for the season. But getting Armstead back, healthy, of course, you'd like to think that he'll play maybe a few more snaps against Tampa Bay. That's huge for the defense. And just, his presence he's such an underrated guy. I think around the NFL and probably among Niner fans too. I think a lot of times when Niner fans think of Eric Armstead, they're like, he's all right, but, Buckner's way better. And yeah, is Buckner better? Probably. But Armstead has had some big-time performances. If you look at the playoffs last year, Armstead was everywhere, disrupting everything. And I think he's a key player. So, fingers crossed he stays healthy through the rest of the season and into the playoffs because we're going to need him. And he's a guy where when you're playing against teams like when you think about Tampa Bay, Brady, 45 years old, he can't really move nearly as well. He never was athletic, but he doesn't really move that well. So when you think about it, like if we can disrupt him in the pocket, that allows Bosa, Ebukam, all these other guys then to really clean up the sacks. So he was really good performance. And again, as you mentioned, man, he was on a pitch count. So if he's playing a little bit more or if he's kind of let loose to play his more regular amount of snaps, then watch out because that is just another fantastic player to have on the defense.
That is correct. Nadine, welcome to the channel. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm going to play a little bit of devil advocate here with Eric Armstead. I know a lot of people are like, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, who's better? Listen, overall, Armstead is a better athlete, I think, but for what the system requires here in San Francisco, I think Eric Armstead is a better player than Buckner for what the Niners need to be done in this offensive line. Because Eric can play inside and he can play outside. Buckner always plays a lot of inside only, and Buckner is struggling over there with the Colts. I know the defense is not that good, but he only has 5.5 sacks. And I know a lot of people like to measure success with sacks, but that's not always the case with a lot of players. Eric Armstead doesn't really come off the charts explosive with sacks, but the pressures and the chaos that he causes, how he pushes the pocket, how he allows the guys to eat, like Bosa, like Sampson, like Charlie Menahue, all the other guys, they get to eat because of the presence of Eric Armstead. I always loved Eric. I love Buckner. I miss him. I wish he was still here. I wanted both of them, but unfortunately with money, sometimes you can't keep them both. And Eric Armstead chose to take less money. Now people say the Niners didn't want Buckner. That's not true. They offered Buckner in 2018 an extension of his contract. Buckner didn't take it because he wanted more money, and good for him. Every player deserves to get the bag. The Niners were just not willing to give it to him based on what he's done. So moving on, Eric Armstead is back. He was very impressive against the Dolphins. Really? That dog never barks. Apologize for that. My other one that is in here barks, but not that one. The poodle never barks. That's funny. Tanisha, welcome to the show. Good to see you, Tanisha. How you doing? Welcome. 49er Minded says, some people were saying Armstead didn't make an impact. it's the same people who cry out about his salary. Sorry, I'm reading it. I don't know what's wrong with my eyes, but things are getting blurry for me. Maybe I'm ready for friends. This is Rick Diaz. I had the Niners fans. We'll be okay Sunday. We'll be okay Sunday. I just got to play Niners style football. I just got to play. Okay, I'm reading it right. Football, another challenge again. He's referring to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me ask you, Kalen, against Tampa, what concerns you?
Tom Brady.
In a nutshell, it didn't take you long.
I mean, he just finds ways to win, make things happen. But if I had to say, kind of to elaborate, I would actually say it's like their defense is what kind of scares me because, they have some good pass rushers there. But I think like Vita Vea in the middle, he's a monster. They have really good linebackers just like we do. Devin White, Levante David, good secondary. Jamal Dean and Carlton Davis as their starting cornerbacks. So the defense is really solid there in Tampa Bay. So I just hope that we're able to produce enough points offensively where, we can really just hold back, really hold back Brady and hold him down. Now, we saw it last night that the Saints were able to hold Brady in check for about 55 minutes, and then they started being able to put up points. But I know whenever you go against a guy like Tom Brady, he just somehow finds ways to make things happen. So, that's probably what scares me the most. Plus, like whenever, I think this is maybe his second time playing against the 49ers in San Francisco. So he'll be wanting, that he wants to be like, hey, this is his home area. He wants to show that he can beat the Niners. So I would say Brady scares me.
Okay. Hold on for a second. You were pausing on me a little bit. So I apologize for that. Let's move on to our last topic since we do have to. We're going to shut it down early today. The Los Angeles. We talked about this a little bit before we started the show, but the Los Angeles Rams claimed Baker Mayfield off of waivers. Was that a plot to keep him from the 49ers? Now, Kalen, I know your response. I'm going to have you respond anyway for the viewers, but I also would like the viewers to answer that question in the comments. But what were your thoughts? And share it with me again. I know what you said earlier, but share them with the rest of us. Was this a plot or no?
No, I don't think it was a plot. I think that the Rams basically brought in Baker Mayfield because, look, he was a former number 1 overall pick. He's had some success in the NFL, but to me, really it comes down to Sean McVay has a chance here to get a close look at a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. Maybe he starts 3, 4, maybe even 5 games. I don't think he's going to start against the Raiders. That would be way too soon. But maybe he plays 4 games and they can get a look at him, and perhaps they can bring him back next year as a backup to Stafford. Or if Stafford is like maybe thinking that he's just done, then perhaps Mayfield could be not a long-term solution for the Rams, but just someone who they could have as like a backup quarterback or what have you. But I think it's just ultimately they'll take a look at him. Maybe they feel like they can revive his career a little bit. And if not, I mean, they've got nothing to lose. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I don't know, a lot of people were thinking about bringing Baker Mayfield to the Niners as a backup. I don't know if I don't know if we needed someone like him. I know he has experience and this, but I mean, he went from the Browns to Carolina, and then Carolina got rid of him because he requested his release. I don't know what's going on personally with Baker, but something's going on in his head that it's just not right, man. I don't know if we need that type of distraction in the locker room, especially with this young kid, Brock. Does he really need a distraction of a Baker Mayfield media-wise attention in this locker room? I don't, Personally, honestly, I don't think the Niners would have brought him in anyway, even if he cleared waivers up to the Niners. In my personal, I just don't think how. I don't know if it's too much Kyle, but John Lynch, just the type of person that Kyle Lynch is, he's just a no nonsense type of guy, and he knew that wherever Baker goes, the social media drama, soap opera goes with him. And do we really need that type of distraction? I don't think so. So we're rolling with Brock and Josh Johnson, a vet. Now, our fingers are crossed that Jimmy comes back for the playoffs, as Kayla mentioned earlier. But we're going to ride or die with Brock. Now, if Brock, God forbid, knock on wood, I should say, if Brock goes down, then the season is over, period. I just don't see Josh Johnson doing anything. So let's keep our prayers that Brock is smart. And he likes to take hits, and that's what scares me. He stays in the pocket. He's not afraid of hits. He's not a big guy. He's only 6'1". So let's pray that he stays healthy and we don't lose him, because if we lose him, we are in world of trouble. But I think we'll be fine. Give me your score prediction for this game against the Bucs, and who is your MVP of the offense, and who would your MVP of the defense be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to say 49ers. I'll say 49ers 23, Buccaneers 17. In terms of MVP offensively, that's a tough one. I am going to go. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with someone who has had a couple of good games this year, but I'm going to go with George Kittle. I think Kittle's going to be really big in terms of blocking, but I think we'll try and get him a lot more involved in the passing game this week. I think that we'll maybe use guys like Debo, Ayuk a little bit as decoys. Of course, look, they're going to get their touches, no question about it. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe Kittle goes for like 800 yards, a touchdown, has some key blocks. I'm going to go George Kittle as the offensive MVP.
Okay, George Kittle. I love it. And we need a Kittle most definitely in this game. For me, I'm gonna say it's gonna be 27-17 49ers in this game. I think my offensive player is gonna be Jordan Mason for me. And defensively, I'm really gonna. I really believe it's gonna be Nick Bosa again, bringing in that pressure and getting and being all over Tom Brady. So Bosa for defense, offense Jordan Mason. Let's see what this kid does. I know CMC is the right choice because just of what he brings to the table. But I want to see Jordan Mason really take off. I want to see him explode. With that said, as my friend has to go and be somewhere at 3, so out of respect for him, I am not going to push this stream any further than I need to. I appreciate each and every one of you who attended today to the Week 49er Weekly Recap Show with my host, Kaylin from Shifty 49ers Talk. Guys, remember, next week we will be live on his channel. So make sure to his address to his channel is in the description below. Click on it. It'll take you directly to his channel, and he will host next week. I will host the following week, and so on. We're going to alternate our show, and our show is the 49er Weekly Report Recap Show. Listen, before we go, I just want to give kudos and respect to my friend Kalen for the hard work that he puts. On Sunday, he gained, how many subscribers did you gain in a few hours?
It was 130-ish, about 130.
130-ish subscribers in a few hours. Man, great job, brother. That is not easy to do, bro. I gotta give you the hand applause. Congratulations on that, my friend. Continue to build your channel. Let's continue to support him. A must subscribe to his channel. It's in the description below because our show will be on his channel next week. Until then, this is
one second. Just before we go, sorry to cut you off, Beto, but thank you for the shout out there, Beto, for that, for the stream and everything. But honestly, shout out to everyone who subscribed and everyone who was there.
Come on now.
It was great to. It was just so much fun, and for me, for whoever here, I know I recognize a bunch of names here who've been in the streams, but for me, it's my favorite thing to do. I love doing all the videos throughout the week. I love doing these shows with yourself. I have another one with another great content creator, 49er Ultimate Report. But, it's one of those things where the games, that's my favorite thing. I get super passionate about it. But what makes it the most fun is when we're interacting with the chat. I'm calling the game. We're chatting it up. Everyone's giving their own thoughts, their own opinions, and so it's a lot of fun. But honestly, it's because of everyone out there watching that, makes it so much fun. And thank you for everyone who subscribed. And it was really, really fun. I tell you, that was like the best stream that I've had. And hey, we're going to do it all again on Sunday. It's going to be Brady against Purdy. So definitely stay tuned to check out that because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, you're doing the game. That's awesome, bro. Definitely. Robert Davis says, thank you, Beto and Shifty. Thank you, Robert. And thank to each and every one of you today for coming in. Listen, I don't take for granted of your guys' busy schedule. You guys have your lives. You have either work, children, or whatever it is. When you take your time and you come into our show, my show particularly, and just talk to us and share your time, I truly appreciate you. So the real MVP of today are all of you, the viewers of the channel, man. Give you guys a hand of applause for being amazing. With that said, my friend, we are out of here. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Be blessed. And to next week, we'll see you on Shifty 49ers Talks channel. Peace.